more than 75 gold and platinum albums in his career, mixing and recording with such heavy hitters as Aerosmith, Rush, Dream Theater, Mick Jagger, and many, many more. We could also tell you he's a pioneer in the world of 5.1 mixing with dozens of awards in that area alone. His ongoing work with Alex Lifeson and Rush is well balanced with young contemporaries such as Skillet and Simple Plan, making Rich one of the most in-demand mixers and engineers today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rich Chycki. How's everyone doing?
Was anybody here at Gear Fest yesterday? Did you have a good look around?
Yeah.
There's a lot of great stuff, huh? My credit card has been, yeah, it's in a little bit of pain right now. So, I want to thank everybody for coming out. 9:30, everybody have coffee?
Yeah.
Yeah? That's good. I don't. So I do silly things like forget my name, just help me, okay? So, I really appreciate the introduction. Thanks very much. This is, with all the credits that were mentioned, this is actually the 10th year for me that I started working with Rush.
Yeah.
So I started in, thank you. I started in 2004. I started in 2004 as a charity. I got a cold call saying, hey, you know what? You want to do a charity gig? There's no money in it. And yeah, you just got to record someone. You just got to record someone, and you know it's going to be broadcast. It was for the tsunami relief for the tidal wave that had happened out in the Middle East. And then I heard after the fact that it was Rush, so I went, yeah, I think I could do that. Did the gig, and it was a great experience. Really bonded with Al Lifeson. We had a lot of laughs doing it. And then he just called me to do R30, which was first live DVD afterward, and R30 did 13 times platinum. So that's kind of sealed the deal for 10 years. Okay. Now what we ended up doing is over the course, you've probably seen there's a lot of different Rush material. There's a lot of stuff that's been remixed and in surround and re-released. Right, it's done on Blu-ray. Right, and that includes some of the albums like 2112, I did Fly By Night, I did Farewell to Kings, and I did Moving Pictures. Moving Pictures is regarded by critics really as being quite possibly the pinnacle of their career. I think it ended up selling 5 million albums in America, right? So it was a huge, huge record for them. And so that's been remixed and surrounded, and the process of mixing this is different than doing like a remix, which is a reinterpretation. There's a version of Vapor Trails that was done a little while ago, and that is a reinterpretation where it's an actual different mix. This mix is scrutinized up against the original to be a close, really, really close match. Now, in this case, what we're doing is we're using modern equipment to put another vintage mix together. So what this is going to do for us, and we're going to listen to this today, is going to dispel that whole concept of saying, wow, you cannot use new gear to do that sort of thing. That you can't do it all, only the old vintage stuff is the stuff that works. And we'll do a little bit of A/B, we'll have a listen, and I think you might find that the match is really, really close. Okay? Now these products as well, we ended up doing all of these re-releases, put Rush back into the top 200 on Billboard. Okay? And anything that you see in Rock Band, and Guitar Hero, and now there's another app called Jam It. I don't know if anyone's familiar with it, where you play along. All of that, all the stuff that you're listening to that's out there are derivatives of this mix process that's been going on. And so this song that I'm going to play for you today is also part of that. Okay? Now you're probably wondering, okay, so that's great. Well, we've got this really nice console. How can I do this sort of work in, say, your own studios? What I end up using is I use a box that SSL has called a Sigma, and a Sigma is a summing box, and it's an automated summing box. So I end up using Pro Tools. I use a fair bit of outboard gear as well. And what I end up doing is I use the Sigma level controls. The Sigma is essentially, if we were to take this console and very gently and lovingly chainsaw it, and just take the faders, right? The faders and the center bus section, so we have the mix A and mix B section out of this. That's essentially what the Sigma is, right? So I can actually run automation. I have an added icon right now, and what I end up doing is I just have a group, a VCA group. I hit it, and the Sigma just shows up as a bunch of faders. So that's what I end up doing, and I have a lot of 500 series modules, and a lot of them are SSLs, right? So it's really possible that you can take this console, cut it into little bits, and it's available, and it's out to actually a lot of the pieces that I'm talking about. They're out in, Don, what tent is it? 8. Tent 8, right? All of these pieces are out there to see, and they're really just this console sectioned off. Okay, so right now I'm mixing a live album for a band called Dream Theater, and that is the more notes by volume than other brands of bands. Right? So right now I'm mixing Dream Theater. I actually when I fly back, I'm going right back to doing that, and that's the exact configuration that I'll be using. Okay, so it's entirely possible that you can do this sort of work under a lot of different conditions. So as much as this console is great, and it houses everything in one large frame, nice package, fantastic, but there's a lot of options available, and it's up to you to discover them and to use them to your advantage. Okay, one last piece of talk, and then I'm going to play some music for you. Just want to talk about the process of the anatomy of a mix. Okay? What are we doing this for? One of the things that SSL talked to me about coming and talking to people, I'm not a salesman. I mix records for a living. That's what I do. But this is about sound, and it's about teaching people about the importance of good sound. Right? Because in some ways, that's being threatened because we're saturated with MP3s. You know, my daughter will say, "Hey Dad, listen to this thing," and she will play me something it's interesting as far as what it is. Sonically, it is an abysmal piece of crap. And it is. And she's playing it off YouTube, and it just sounds awful. So she's saying, "Well, what do you think?" And you know, I just go off about stereo imaging, and she's going, "Yeah, right, creepy old guy, but what do you really think?" Right? But the issue is that sonics are important. And why are they important? Well, I mentioned the internet, and one of the things that we've been discussing over the past few days is, you know, you do some work and it might not seem critical at the time. You go, "Yeah, well, that's good enough." I can guarantee you, I've never asked any of the guys in Rush, but I'll bet you if I could go back in time and ask an 18-year-old Alex Lifeson, "Hey, you know that White album that you recorded? Do you ever think that it would be reissued or remixed or 40 years from now?" Right? And I would hazard a guess to say, he'd probably just laugh and say, "I don't even know if I would be alive in 40 years." Right? But with the internet, everything is now preserved forever. So my opinion is that you have to do your work always at its best, because it lasts forever now. Everything that you do, you release a mix right now, you release it from your bedroom, 20 years from now, you're going to do an interview in France, and somebody's going to say to you, hey, do you remember that mix you did 20 years ago? I want to play it for you and let's comment on it and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, right, the MP3 that you released, and they're saying, so, well, yeah, you had 7 Grammys, but why is this so bad? Right? So really, it's important because in all honesty, and everything that's being preserved right now, as individual artists and engineers, it's your legacy. It's there forever. It's your legacy. So from a personal point of view, doing your best work at all times and exposing your best work at all times is going to be really critical because it's there all the time. It's there to be evaluated, and we do this stuff as engineers and musicians. We're expressing ourselves creatively, right? Isn't that that's what this is about, right? And going outside and looking at gear. But aside from that, that's what it's about. And this concept, in my opinion, feeds it. And to see manufacturers, when they come out with something that's really cool and it's innovative, it's because they think the same way, that they want to do something that excites them as musicians, right? If you're mixing and you have something and all of a sudden, you know when you're mixing something and you're working on it and it sounds okay, and then over the course of time, all of a sudden, you cross that barrier where it starts to have that feeling of being nailed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know that feeling of all of a sudden going, yep, that's it, and you get really excited and it feels really great, right? It feels really great. Well, the whole idea of being innovative and coming up with new things, this is all connected. It's all really, really critical. That's why something like this, to say, you know what, we did the SSLG 30 years ago, we don't have to do shit now. We don't have to do that, we've already shown something great. But there's still more, there's more keeping up with the way technology has changed. Keeping up with the way it's changed, and giving the user the best sonic experience possible. I know I appreciate it, and I hope everybody here feels the same way. Okay, the first concept, instead of review a little piece, the first concept, we would go back and before you take the